Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. It has been a very short week. I don't know where the days flew, but last weekend my daughter hadn't packed up for college, and she left this morning fully packed with half the house gone. She even went into the pantry and packed food. and she's going to be, in the middle of Boston. They have a supermarket right a block away from her. But she said, thank God you paid for this already. I don't have to go food shopping. So we welcome to the Bima tonight to lead us in music Sam Goodman, who most of you already know. And I am so thrilled that he is here with us tonight. And I'm ready for a wonderful Shabbat.
Same here.
How's everyone else feeling? Good. So I want you just to do one thing. I want you to try to clear your mind for a second. Don't think about anything that happened on the news. Just think about the peace and joy that we get from Shabbat, from taking time off during the week. In last week's Torah portion, we learned what happens to people who were taken in war, and the women that were taken home and how they were treated gently. But we also learn when we read the Torah that a Shabbat is for everyone in the area, that the animals take a Shabbat, that all the humans living in a certain house, whether they practice monotheism, because there wasn't really a ritual then, took a time off, a break. And one of my friends, who is a rabbi, became a priest this week. She currently lives in Africa, April Baskin, and she became a ketonet, a priest in her own right. Her family history goes back many years in this country. They were slaves to the Baskin family. And they were able to celebrate all the Jewish holidays with the Baskin family. They were able to take off Shabbat. They lived in homes rather than huts. And they were served from the kitchen instead of having to make food for themselves. And when they were set free, the Baskins gave everyone a piece of their land. And they built a much smaller house and lived there with their families. Her father told me that through family history, they decided never to change their name, that they were going to be Baskins, and they were going to be Jews. And they are. And to think that she is living in Africa with her beloved and has become a high Jewish priestess is pretty amazing. And the Baskin family helped to guide her family in that direction. So we never know who are our angels in life. So we begin on page 128 with the singing of Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
We welcome Shabbat and all the beauty that it brings to us. We turn to page 120 and 123 and invite Wayne Hallard forward to light the candles and to say the Kiddush. Just put in new candle in that.
No, it's the end. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And the heaven and earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Ore puri
hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho, b'ahava uvratzon hinidilanu, zikaron b'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher etziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'ahava uvratzon, inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. So I just want to use this as a teachable moment. When we sing a prayer together and we all say Amen, it means ditto. And then we have to say the prayer again. And then we say Amen, and then we have to say the prayer again. So instead of saying Amen, we could just say L'chaim, to life. So we don't have to keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and just spend entire services doing Kiddush. Huh? If you want to do a full Kiddush service, I'm up for it. We could do wine tasting, all kinds of kosher. I would be there. We turn to page 144 as we rise for the Hatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash me Rabba.
Amen.
V'alma divrachute v'lamilch malchute. V'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayecho bet Yisrael. Bagalav v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehesh me Rabba mevarach. Le'olam lo me'almaya. Yiparach, v'yishtabach, v'yipar, v'yiramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha, brichu, le'la min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alama v'imru. Amen. Baruch hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach le'olam va'ed.
We turn to page 148 as we read together in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, chokma potech sha'arim, uvitfuna mishanei tkim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et kochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakir kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid imloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 151, we read together at the top of the page. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha.
Please be
V'chol
seated.
levavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinontam levanecha, v'dibartam ba'am, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, U'shochbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha, u'ktatam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'yisharecha, l'man tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim le'lohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. So there's a joke that goes like this. A new rabbi in a congregation gets to the Shema and asks them if they stand or sit for the Shema. Because whatever you're doing before, that's what you're supposed to do for the Shema. So if you're standing, you stand. If you're sitting, then you sit. And a fight breaks out in the congregation. We sit, no, we stand. We sit, no, we stand. And they keep arguing, and the rabbi said, wait, what is your tradition? And someone said, that's our tradition. That's what we do every week. So it's interesting going to a new place where the melodies that you used to use are different, and you've got to learn them. I want you to know that I watched every single service from last year before I got here, over and over and over again to get the melodies. Candle one I still can't get, but it'll come in time. But it's beautiful to be able to learn something new and hear something new, especially something that inspires you, that brings you to a place. And, you know, the candle blessing that we have here is one that I'm not used to.
But since I've started, I realize that it really starts the service, that it's a moment of holiness, that short melody makes me feel as if we're filling the room with angels of all kinds and that our voices are rising up to God. And it really does prepare my heart for the rest of the service. So we turn to page 156. And actually 157. At the bottom of the page, first paragraph, Sam's side. Second paragraph, my side. Third paragraph, Sam's side.
Right? In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, no tehilot o sefele, no tehilot o sefele, ma'alechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'eli, anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
We turn to page 161. On this page, we find the prayer Hashivenu. And traditionally, it was said before one went to sleep at night because the rabbis believed that sleep was 1/60th of death. And they were afraid. And so in this prayer, they asked God to put a shelter of peace over them and really to protect their souls throughout the night. And there's a companion prayer in the morning, Modeh Ani or Mada'ani, thank you, God, for restoring my soul. It should be a beautiful habit that we have to say this before we go to sleep at night or any prayer that we think, what we hope for our rest for that night. And that we hope we will be able to wake up in the morning and be able to feel grateful to God. I went to Atrium today and led a discussion on our Torah portion, and we were talking about wonder. And as we're all sitting there, some people in wheelchairs, I asked everyone to raise their hand. I'm going to ask you to do the same right now. And look at it, and close your fist, and open it, and realize how many bones are in your hand, how many tendons, how many different muscles, how many ligaments it takes for your hand just to do this. And that's a miracle. We don't think about our bodies, except when they fail us. So to be able to do this and realize that there's something bigger than myself out there that makes me be able to do this is holy and is wonder. And if we open our eyes, it's all around us. And we live with a sense of gratitude and appreciation. So, quietly on page 161, whisper one of these readings. We rise on page 164 for the tefillah, the Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasei Avot v'Imahot, U'mei Gula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Michei hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid atah. Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim habim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al givurot, Umido melach, Melech me'it u'mechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah la'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelu chatzela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. We read together on the top of page 171. Days passed and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 177. Together, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ucha ne'eh lehodot. Shalom Rav is found on page 178.
Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki atahu melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav HaYisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת בכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We pray silently.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We turn to Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah. We turn to page 362, and I ask you all to please rise.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אב הרחמים, היטיב ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. ולך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וכבוד. כי כה בשמיים ובארץ, כי כה בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, תמיד נעשה לכל לראש. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omer. Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim. Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omer. Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gimilut Chasadim. Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gimilut Chasadim.
Please be seated. Sam is going to be laning Torah, which means chanting Torah tonight. And I'd like to ask that in the future, if anyone has something to celebrate or they're mourning someone, that you let me know, and so that week you can be called to the Torah for an aliyah. We want to make sure that both the good times and the bad give you an honor. And so I ask, if you wish to do so, that you please let me know. Parasha Kitavo, which Sam is going to be chanting from page 1522. But Kitavo means when you come in. And it talks about entering the land of Israel. And when you enter the land of Israel and feel comfortable and build big homes and have enough food to eat and have enough food to drink and are comfortable, don't forget that it was God that brought you there. We often forget when we live in our nice homes with a fire going when it's snowing outside, that we didn't do everything by ourselves. That not only are we standing upon the shoulders of generations that came before us, but we're standing before God, always. I think this first line is really relevant to how we live our lives today. In the course of day-to-day living, we forget. We forget to express our gratitude. This portion also has a sour note because after that one line, God gives us 89 reasons to keep the commandment. And there are the most horrible things you can possibly imagine. Worse, things that'll happen to your kids, things that'll happen to your family. The land won't produce anything. You won't have clean water, worse than the plagues. So God says, please, please, keep my commandments. We invite up to read the blessings before and after the Torah, Phil and Penny Goodman, Sam's parents, and it's an honor. You came all the way from Philadelphia. You take that. And you're going to take the blessing. So I just want to say before you start, when I was growing up, my mom was director of the religious school, and I was Sheila's kid. And the first time someone came up to her and said, wait, you're Renee's mother? She said it was the greatest moment in her life. So, tonight, you're Sam's parents.
Baruch hu Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Ambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Yiten Adonai et oivecha hakamim alecha. Nigafihim lefanecha baderech echad יצאו אליך ובשבעה דרכים ינוסו לפניך. יצב אדוני איתך את הברכה באשמך ובכל משלח ידך וברכך בארץ אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. יקמך אדוני לו לעם קדוש כאשר נשבע לך כי תשמור את מצוות אדוני אלוהיך והחלטה בדרכיו. וראו כל עמי הארץ כי שם אדוני נקרא עליך ויראו ממך.
ישר כוח. ממש ממש.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם אתה בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And thank you for giving birth to him. I'm older than he is, so I can say that. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise.
וזאת ברכה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה.
Traditionally, while the Torah is open, we say two different prayers. The first is a mishaberach, a prayer of healing. It's not only a prayer of healing anything that ails you physically. It's also a blessing for those who are suffering mental illness and mental challenges, for those whose soul is not nurtured and feels dry, and for those people who feel alone and lost. We all do, sometimes. And so this is a prayer for each and every one of us. It is found on page 371. I'll begin by mentioning the words that we have here, and then I'll ask you to add your own. And those on live stream, please feel free to add yours as well. We ask for healing for Rabbi Robert Orak, Nancy Baskin, Martha Brandwein, Miriam Solons, Nancy Keller Coffey, Marcy Seligman-Waite, Robert Summers, Louisa Corallo, Jessica Knight, Niles Chopper, Judith Landau, Pam Friedman, Eric Blumenfeld, Debbie Levin, Larry Boxman, Robert Goldman, Lee Klatsky-Alexander, Jean O'Connor, Myra Taxa, Bernard Shagan, Richard Sachs, Patricia Rosenman, and Leslie Shields. If you know of someone who is in need of healing, please state their name as my eyes meet yours.
Paul Ross.
Thank you.
Lori Finkelstein.
Thank you.
Catherine Collins.
Thank you.
Linda Kaplan. Renee Bernstein. Alexa Tapletop.
Thank you.
Barry Gilchrist.
Mark Milchman. Ruth Berman.
Thank you.
Flo Miller.
Thank you.
Jacob Schmidt.
We join together in the singing of Debbie Friedman's Mishaberach.
Mishaberach comes before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha l'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn to page 374 as we return the Torah to the Ark.
Yitzchayim hi l'machazikim ba v'tom cheha me'usha d'racheha rachenoam l'chol netivoteha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kikedem Chadesh Yameinu kikedem.
Please be seated. So, it's been an interesting couple of weeks for me. I have preached high holiday sermons for 27 years. 27 years, it's a long time. And yet, I'm stumped. I'm stumped because I never use a sermon again. In fact, I don't keep them. I only recently found out that my mother has every single sermon I've ever given. So if I want to do a redo, she can lend me whatever I need. And I think part of the reason, I finally got them written, but part of the reason that I was struggling was because of fear. Because I felt that the expectations would be very high. And if I didn't give you something meaty to take away from you, if I didn't hit it out of the park, then that would be a complete and utter failure. And then I realized that we fail all the time in so many different ways, and it's a learning experience. And that fear is not something to be conquered. It's something that we live with. In this Torah portion, 53 verses of curses follow this notion of what happens when you forget God. And these curses are the worst possible things that could happen in our lives. The Torah asks that we confront them. Thinking about the year ahead, it's easy to get caught up in the worries, in the what ifs. What if COVID comes back? Well, it's back. Yay. But it's not something that we fear anymore. What else do we fear? Instability. Our hopes that people will come back to the synagogue and will find what they need here. We fear the Pew study that came out last year that said the highest group of Jews connecting in the world were the unaffiliated. And that they weren't, as we thought, mostly young people, but they were mostly older people who felt that they didn't need a synagogue in their life. I was asked 2 years ago to make up a new membership category for our synagogue. And it went like this: Shabbat Services, $35. High holidays, number. Bar Bat Mitzvah, number. Confirmation, adult ed class, It was a menu. They wanted a menu, a pay as you go. And I said, that's not what Judaism's about. We don't pay as we go. We pay to become part of a community. We pay to learn together. We pay to become, to do the best things in the world that we can. And here is a place where we should be able to find peace, where we should be able to find comfort, where we should be able to mourn in the midst of our community, where we know that people are with us. You already know that you have a cantor who adores every single one of you. And you have a rabbi who is learning to love each and every one of you. Every time we meet, I fall a little bit more in love. So, we're 2.5 weeks in to dating. 2.5 months into dating. And I feel like it's going pretty well. I'm looking forward to more dates in the future. Maybe we can go bowling together, or out to see a film. Or maybe we can just be open and honest together. We are here because it's a place to talk about our deepest fears. Our fears that we're not enough, that we're not worthy, that people who we loved turned against us and we don't know why. We're here to face whatever we need to face head on with each other. And that's what we do when we study Torah. We struggle with the text. We find ourselves entangled in the text. And we unweave it. And we read commentaries from thousands of years ago who help us understand and put it in place. I don't believe in a God who would curse people as badly as in this Torah portion. When I was on a CCAR, Central Conference of American Rabbis seminar this week, and they have one each and every day to help you write your high holiday sermons, including one on how to use AI. Did not go to that one. One of them asked us to reflect on what name we use for God. And here were some of the answers. Nothing. As a rabbi, I'm struggling. And since the pandemic, I can't find my footing. And I think that God has lost me. Someone said God of support. Because when they feel they're with their community, that God is holding everyone up and together. There were so many different answers, but none of them were punishing God. In fact, the V'ahavta, we take out half of it because it says if you don't follow these commandments, then you're not going to have a harvest rich in grain and wine and oil. The land's not going to produce for you. You're not going to have children. You're not going to be satisfied. And those are some of the things that we fear. What does it mean to live a life without satisfaction? And does God really want that for each and every one of us? To be a Reformed Jew means that we find our own path, that we try on the mitzvot and see if we can make them fix with a little bit of wiggle room. And if they don't fit, we know we tried, and maybe we'll try them on later to see if they fit at a different time in our lives. We tend to forget that we're commanded to do certain things. And those certain things were totally explained in last week's Torah portion. We are told that we need to be humble. We are told that we need to stretch our hand out to those who need it. To pick up a bird that's on the ground and put it back in its nest, even though we know you can't do that anymore, because the mother bird will toss the bird right back out of the nest. We're told that we need to take care of each other and to leave corners of our field for those who don't have to eat. We're told that we need to walk in God's ways. And we're told that God's ways are ways of holiness and peace. And so, when that question came, and I said, what do you call God? Renee, you're going first. Great. I explained what I was going through and how difficult I was having writing sermons this year. And then I shared that every night I go outside and sit on the back stairs with the dog, and I talk. My kids say I talk all the time, even when there's no one in the room near me. They think I'm crazy. And I may be. But I chose the words, God who hears. Because I may be talking a lot. I don't know if God is listening, but I know that when I speak the words that I need to say out loud, that something comes back in my heart and soul, and that maybe I'll get an answer. Or maybe in the course of conversation with someone else, on a conversation that has nothing to do with what I was talking about, I'll get the answer. Because that's what we are in this life. We're all messengers for each other. And so, I hope that God who hears will hear my prayers on Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, and that you will hear, and that you will understand a little bit more of who I am and what I see in each and every one of you. It's all good things. This is a great place. And so, let us keep blessing each other instead of listening to God curse at us. Announcements, Dean.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Dean Ross, and on behalf of Monmouth Reformed Temple, I want to welcome everybody here tonight. I have a few announcements. High Holy Day packets have been mailed to all members. Please let the office know if you haven't received them. Join us for Silicote study and services on Saturday, September 9th, starting at 7 p.m. The study and discussion will be led by Rabbi Edelman and is entitled, When Forgiveness is Not Possible. Jewish calendars for the new year, 5784, are now available in the office, and we also have some in the lobby. Sisterhood's Tasty Treats fundraiser for the High Holy Days is underway. Order your apple pie and honey or chocolate babka and honey. Orders must be in by tonight. I'm sure they'll extend it a few more days. And the pickup is the 13th or the 14th. The order form can also be found in the past email blast. The Tzedakah Box collection of September will support the Maui Strong Fund of Hawaii. Working in close collaboration with state and county leaders, nonprofit organizations, and community members to understand the quickly evolving priorities, the Maui Strong Fund provides financial resources to support the immediate and long-term recovery needs for the people and places affected by the devastating Maui wildfires. Financial donations currently support are for the displaced families, such as food, clothing, and shelter. MRT continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission of connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment of time as well as donations to help us grow. More information, contact Jordana in the office, or Rabbi Edelman, or Cantor Gabrielle Clisol. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. So I don't know about you, but I can't wait till Cantor gets back. She said she wouldn't talk to me while she was on vacation, and she sent me a text every day asking what was happening, and I would send her back a heart. Every day, heart, 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 heart. I'm not telling you. None of your business. You're on vacation. So I'm excited that she's coming back, and I'm not going to tell her about some of the stuff that happened. She'll find out. I'm just so glad that she's coming back and that I have my Bima partner and my good friend back in my life every day again.
You've held it together. You've held it together.
Thank you, I've tried. Maybe you've gotten to know more of me than you wanted to. We turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liotzehem reishit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Page 595. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory fills the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find alone what we now must become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and our words. And what they did is part of what we have become. We do our best homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. And affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, and whose unity no one is alone, and everyone finds purpose. When I first became a rabbi, my first week, the senior rabbi was on vacation. The other rabbi was in Norway. The cantor was in the islands. I said, you can handle it. I had 3 deaths that week. And I called the senior rabbi and said, they didn't teach us this in rabbinic school. What am I supposed to do? He said, can you find that little blue book that they gave you when you were ordained? And I said, yes. He said, have you cracked it open? I said, no. He said, in it are the services for funeral. And he said, but the most important thing is not the funeral itself, it's spending time with the family. And so on that first week, I learned about family members who were loved and listened carefully and discovered what their legacy was. And I asked their family for pictures, and I started what my kids later called the family books. Each one has a picture of someone, and underneath is their name, the date they died, and what their legacy is. I have so many books right now. When my kids were little, they used to look through these books all the time, especially before they went to school. And they would say to me, I'm going to live like Uncle Harry today. I'm going to jump into life. Or I'm going to live like this lady, Sarah, who was helpful to everyone around her. They chose people who they didn't know, and yet they lived their legacy. It's an incredible gift. When we die, we don't really die. The Talmud says that when someone speaks your name, you become alive again. But we always feel how we felt when we were with that person. We know how they made us feel. And we can still remember that. And their legacy is a part of who we become and what we do in the world, and how we walk a little differently. We remember in the period of Shiva, Lawrence Edelman, in Shloshim, Phil Auerbach, Joy Rockoff, and Hugo Z. Levy. And we remember those whose yahrzeit falls this week: Theodore Atlas, Anne Barron, Isaac Blonder, Marvin Finkelstein, Clayton Fishman, Bernard Goldberg, Samuel Haratz, David Jones, Freddie Young, Lillian Davis Kassner, Edward Kieser, Karen Kleinman, Leonard Kleinman, August Knopp, Lillian Knopp, Yves Lepel, Alan Lowenstein, Milton A. Mausner, Nicholas Mazzarella, Charles Sills, Milton Stone, Louis Tiplitz, and Anita Ermacher. Please know that if I've said the name of your family member wrong, that it's my mistake. I do read with Jordana the names every week, and with Cantor when she's here, because I don't want to dishonor anyone. And by stating their name wrong, it's a great dishonor. So please let me know. It would be a gift to me. We turn to page 596 as we rise and recite the ancient Aramaic words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei b'kol beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam molmei omaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu, Le'ela minkol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Please be seated. Our closing song is Adon Olam, found on page 625. I'm told it's your favorite.
Yep. Dad, if you can come up. Adon Olam Hashem Allah B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ed Nasa V'chefso kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kiflot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yihiyeh B'tifara V'hu Yihiyeh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni Lehamshilo Lehachbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo ha'oz V'ha'misra V'lo ha'oz V'ha'misra V'hu Eli V'chago Ali Tzur Chevli Yetzara V'hu Nisi Umanos Li Minad Kosi B'yom Ekra Minad Kosi B'yom Ekra B'yado Afki Ruchi B'ed Ishan B'ayira V'yim Ruchi Giviati Adonai Li V'lo Ira Adonai Li V'lo Ira.
Yasher Koach. Wow, that was really beautiful. Can you just stay and do that every week?
We like it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, we taught our retired cantor to love it also.
Oh, good. Does the rest of your family join in different parts of harmony?
You don't want me to sing.
The others play instruments.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Oh, yeah, very special.
Oh, good job.
We join together in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. It's back to that unnamed thing.
My pleasure.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Yasher Koach. That's one of my favorites.
I grew up with that too. And, yeah.
We had a congregation full of singers, so everyone was taking a home.
Our retired
Too many.
cantor was not a performer. Everybody was joining the whole congregations. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Singing the choir.
No. I've been very involved in synagogue leadership, and there was time for one or the other. But no, I regularly chant Torah and Haftarah.
I have to tell you that I did not sit down with the church because I'm not veterinary policy, so.
I say Sam.
Cousins in Philly, what's the song?
In suburban Philly,
Now we have cousins that wrote us.
oh, sure. In town, on Broadway.
Yeah. In fact, the late, because I went there for a funeral. Cousin of mine, and the rabbi, was the lady that was, behaved very well.
Anyhow, I'm Phil.
Jeff, well, nice. So, you
We got kind of can't do that and cut them out.
No one knows what it is. They're bound to dislike me. And that's okay.
You know the expression, Rav Sheinu Mifakino Ladino Rav?
Yes.
I just want to say Happy New Year to Michael Steve Brown. I mean, I might, but probably not. So, all the best.
My sermon. I never use my sermon. I write them every week.
Funny thing is,
And then I just go where my mouth takes me.
I have all of mine in the basement somewhere. And my grandmother used to say that.
Oh, we've always been right in the movement.
But I hope all goes well with the kids, the beginning of school, the back and forth and everything. You know.
The clergy is definitely
It'll be a year.
It would be.
That's alone.
Good to see you again.
Thank you for inviting
You're the
me.
ones who lived where I used to go to daycare.
Well, thank you for, I feel like you're always there for me. So, always. And I know how to find you. Yeah.
paid for that property twice. Those of us who had family members who paid for camp and those who bought it from when we put the synagogue there. So did you go through UHC or where were you ordained?
In Manhattan.
At UHC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You were doing.
You are doing whatever it is this week? Okay, well, I wasn't sure which camp it is.
I got my doctorate last year.
Oh, yeah. 25 years.
Like usually they are, you know, Rabbi Renee Goldberg, Goldberg Edelman is caring soul. Who did you talk to? Who did you talk to get this stuff? You know, she sits on the couch every time, so she doesn't live there. It's like,
I'm just trying to think through everything I've gone through about the same time. Robin Frisch was probably just before you. Craig Axel was probably just after you.
yes, he was.
Okay. And Jack Robert. So about that time.
I know him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it was a second career for him. He just retired 2 years ago. Yeah, well, he's a long time friend. So,
I tell you, I've gone to 2 CCI conferences. That's it in my life. Even though, you know, I get so much out of them, and I'm going to start going again. But, next to me, took out this remarkable you can just take notes and it turns out there and you send it to everyone. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cool. So I have one, but I can't use it.
yeah, you just get to a congregation that's